There's a grief that PDA parents carry that almost nobody names out loud. Not grief for the child, you love the child. Grief for the childhood you imagined. For the milestones that didn't come, the activities that didn't work, the ease that other families seem to have. That grief is real, and not naming it doesn't make it go away. The birthday party that went sideways, the school trip that couldn't happen, the family holiday that ended early, the sports day you didn't go to because the sensory environment was too much. Each of these is a small grief. Accumulated over years, they become something heavier. And alongside the grief is often guilt for grieving in the first place, because you love your child, because your child didn't choose this, because other parents seem to be managing and you feel like you should be managing too. The grief and the guilt tend to travel together. There's a word that sits at the center of a lot of this pain, should, and it's worth looking at what it actually costs. They should be able to manage this. This shouldn't be so hard. We should have sorted this by now. Every should is a comparison between the reality you have and the one you expected. And every time that gap shows up, there's a cost. To your nervous system, to your relationship with your child, and to the clarity you need to actually help them. When your energy is going into managing the distance between what you have and what you expected, it's not going into the relationship that's actually in front of you, fighting the gap and being fully present to what is. Those two things compete. And your child feels the gap. Children, especially perceptive, sensitive PDA children, know when they are being measured against a version of themselves that doesn't exist. They feel the disappointment, even when you're trying to hide it. That awareness becomes part of the demand load they're already carrying. Radical acceptance is one of those phrases that can sound passive or even like defeat. It isn't. Acceptance is not giving up. It is not approving of the difficulty or pretending things are easy. It is not lowering the bar on what you want for your child's life. Acceptance means seeing clearly what is actually true about your child, about this moment, about what is actually possible, without the filter of what you expected. Acceptance is the ground from which effective support becomes possible. You cannot meet a child where they are while you're still trying to get them to somewhere else. The low-demand approach, the co-regulation, the declarative language, all of it works better when you're working with the actual child, not the child you expected. Acceptance is not the end of hope. It is the beginning of accurate hope. Hope that is grounded in who your child actually is, rather than who you thought they would be. That kind of hope can actually go somewhere. What does the shift actually look like in practice? It looks like curiosity instead of concern, wondering what this is like for them, rather than why can't they just. It's a small language shift with a significant effect. Curiosity is connective, concern is distancing. It looks like genuinely noticing what your child actually is. Not just the challenges, but the specific, particular things that are true about them. Their humor, their observations, their way of thinking, their intensities. The child who is actually there. It looks like releasing the timeline. Not every milestone your child reaches will come when other children's do, or in the same way. Their path is not a delayed version of the standard path. It is a different path. That distinction matters more than it sounds. Radical partnership means your child's actual reality becomes the starting point for everything, not the obstacle you're working around. Their sensory needs, their demand response, their way of moving through the world. You build from where they are, not from where you expected them to be. The shift to acceptance doesn't happen once. It's not a decision you make and then it's done. Grief comes back. Expectations resurface. A moment will remind you of what you hoped for and you'll feel the gap again. The shift to acceptance is something you make repeatedly, sometimes on the same day. That's not failure. That's the reality of a long process. What changes over time is that the gap gets smaller, not necessarily because life gets easier, but because your internal picture of what it should look like gradually comes into alignment with what it actually is. That alignment is what acceptance feels like when it takes root. The family you have is not the family you planned, but it may be something you could not have planned for. Something with a depth and a specificity and a kind of love that the imagined version wouldn't have had. That's not a consolation prize. It's a different thing entirely. If you're carrying grief alongside the love, which most PDA parents are, you don't have to carry it alone. There are parents in this community who are in the same place, at different stages of the same shift. Free Discord community in the description, link below. I'll see you in the next video.